Chica's elder brother. The man she feared the most. He walked in slowly, his eyes never leaving her. Well, Ben said with a bitter smile. Look at you now. Rich. Beautiful. Untouchable. Amara's hands shook. What do you want? Ben threw a white envelope on the table. Inside was a letter. A letter that said, I know what you did to my sister. Amara's knees weakened. Lina, watching from the corner, stepped forward. Sir, please. Stay out of this. Ben shouted. This woman destroyed my sister's life. The entire mansion fell silent. Amara grabbed the chair for support. I was young, she whispered. Ben laughed bitterly. You were wicked. Then he threw another envelope on the table. A bigger one. Amara opened it with trembling fingers. Inside were screenshots. Messages. Recordings. Evidence. Everything Amara did to destroy Chica years ago. Lina stood behind Amara, her heart tightening. Ben's voice thundered. You pretend to be a good fiancé. You pretend to be a queen. But the world will know who you really are. And with that, Ben left. Amara collapsed into the chair, shaking uncontrollably. Hours later, the scandal hit the internet. The screenshots were everywhere. Billionaire fiancé sabotaged friend's engagement. Amara Hartley exposed. Wicked socialite trending for all the wrong reasons. Daniel rushed to the mansion. Amara tried to speak. Daniel, please, it's not what it looks like, I was. Daniel raised a hand gently. Amara, tell me it's not true. She opened her mouth. But nothing came out. Because it was true. Daniel's heart broke. You lied to me, he whispered. All these years, you carried this cruelty inside you? Daniel, please. He stepped back. I cannot marry someone who destroys others to feel powerful. The words hit Amara like a hammer. Her chest tightened. Her breath caught. And right there, Daniel ended the wedding. I'm sorry, Amara. But I need peace in my life. He walked away slowly. Amara fell to the floor, crying until her voice disappeared. Everyone turned their back on her. The mansion felt colder. Silent. Empty. Except for one person. Lina. She walked slowly toward Amara, knelt beside her, and held her gently. Amara whispered through tears. Why are you still here? Everyone else left me. Lina hugged her softly. Because everyone needs courage during their darkest moment. Even you. And for the first time in her life, Amara allowed someone to hold her without fighting. Without pretending. Without power. Just pain. Just truth. Just humanity. The mansion looked different now. Quiet. Empty. Cold. Amara no longer barked orders. No longer walked like she owned the world. No longer wore her expensive robes or diamond anklets. Instead, she sat at the far corner of her room, hugging her knees, staring at the floor like a child lost in a storm. Everywhere she turned, people whispered. Serves her right. She finally met her match. She deserves the shame. But Lina. Lina refused to join the noise. Every evening, she brought food to Amara's room, even though Amara barely touched it. She folded her blanket. Opened the curtains. Encouraged her to take walks. Spoke gentle words. Amara pretended not to care. Pretended she hated the kindness. Pretended she didn't need anyone. But each night when Lina left the room, a single tear slid down Amara's cheek because that simple maid was now the only person in the world who didn't treat her like trash. One afternoon, a hard truth. Amara finally spoke. Her voice was weak. Rough. Almost unrecognizable. Lina, why didn't you leave with the others? Lina looked at her quietly. Because, ma'am, you needed me the most. Amara's lips trembled. No one needs me, she whispered. That's not true, Lina replied softly. You just pushed people away because you were afraid they would leave you first. Amara blinked. No one ever cared enough to stay. Lina sat beside her. People stay when you show them your real heart, not your armor. For the first time, Amara didn't argue. She leaned against the wall and breathed out slowly. Do you think I'm a wicked person? Lina shook her head. I think you're someone who never learned how to heal. Amara swallowed painfully. Her voice shook. I destroyed my best friend's life. I pushed Daniel away. I hurt everyone around me. How can someone like me heal? Lina gently held her hand. One step at a time. Amara stared at their hands. No diamonds. No power. Just two women, one broken, one brave. Will you help me? Amara whispered. Lina nodded. I will. But you must be ready to change. Amara closed her eyes. And for the first time in her entire life, she said the words she always feared. I'm ready. That night, she slept peacefully for the first time in weeks. But she had no idea how close danger was, because her past wasn't done with her. Someone else was coming. Someone who wanted more than revenge. Someone who wanted to ruin everything. By the third week, Daniel still refused to speak to Amara. The engagement ring stayed in its velvet box, untouched. Amara would stare at it sometimes with red eyes, but she didn't try to call him. She wanted to respect his space, hoping that one day he might listen, might understand, might forgive. Meanwhile, the scandal online was still boiling. People dragged her name every day. Clips of her shouting at maids went viral. Old secrets resurfaced. Amara felt like the whole world had swallowed her. But Lina stood by her. Spoke to her. Encouraged her. Walked with her around the garden. Sat with her during silent afternoons. Slowly, Amara began to soften. Slowly, Amara began to learn kindness. Slowly, she began to become someone the world had never seen before. But just when things began to look hopeful, trouble arrived again. One evening, a new attack. Amara heard loud voices outside the gate. She walked to her balcony and froze. A crowd of reporters and bloggers stood outside, cameras flashing wildly. And in the center of the chaos was Ben, Chica's brother, holding a microphone. He shouted, "This woman destroyed my sister's life. And she wants to pretend she has changed. We will not let her escape." The reporters screamed questions. Amara, is it true you bullied your friend? Did you intentionally ruin a woman's relationship? Why should society forgive you? Is your wedding truly cancelled? Amara's heart pounded violently. Her hands shook. Her lips trembled. She couldn't breathe. Lina rushed in and held her arms. Amara, don't go out. Don't face them yet. But Amara stepped back, shaking. I can't hide forever. I caused this, and now it's time to face it. Not like this, Lina whispered. You're not strong enough yet. Amara closed her eyes. But before she could speak, her phone rang. The screen displayed a name that made her chest stop. Daniel. Her hands trembled so much that the phone nearly slipped. She answered softly. "Da. Daniel?" His voice was calm, too calm. "Amara," he said, "we need to talk." Her heart leaped. "Daniel. I'm so sorry. Please." "Not on the phone," he said. "Meet me tomorrow." Amara felt her breath catch. "Where?" His answer made her chest tighten painfully. "Chica's grave." Amara's legs weakened. Daniel ended the call. She stood frozen, tears pooling in her eyes. Lina stepped closer and held her trembling hands. "I'll go with you," Lina whispered. Amara shook her head. "No, this is my burden." "But you shouldn't carry pain alone," Lina said softly. "Not anymore." Amara finally nodded. And for the first time in her life, she wasn't facing fear alone. But what none of them knew was that Ben had a bigger plan, one that would destroy Amara permanently. Tomorrow would not just be a meeting. It would be a war of truth, love, revenge, and courage. And only the strongest heart would survive it. The next morning, the sky was pale and quiet. The air felt heavy, as if the clouds themselves were holding their breath. Lina and Amara arrived at the cemetery. Amara wore a simple black dress. No makeup. No jewelry. No masks. Just a woman walking toward the hardest moment of her life. Daniel was already there. He stood beside a white gravestone with flowers. Chica's name was engraved in gold. Amara's chest tightened painfully. Her breath shook. Her legs felt weak. Daniel turned slowly. For a moment, he said nothing. He simply stared at the woman he once planned to marry, now humbled, broken, fragile. Amara swallowed hard. "Daniel." He raised a hand gently. "No excuses," he said quietly. "Just truth." Amara wiped her tears and walked closer. She knelt beside Chica's grave and touched the cold stone. Her voice cracked. "Chica. I'm sorry. I was jealous. I was scared you would leave me. You gave me everything, love, family, shelter, and I repaid you with pain." Tears flowed uncontrollably. Lina stood behind her, praying silently. Amara continued. "I destroyed your engagement because I was empty inside. I didn't know how to love myself, so I didn't know how to love anyone else." Daniel's eyes softened, but he kept listening. "I cannot undo the past," Amara whispered. "But I can face it. And I can change." Silence filled the air. Then, footsteps approached. Ben appeared from behind the graves. His face was hard. His jaw tight. His eyes burning. "I knew you would come here to act," he shouted. Amara flinched. Daniel turned sharply. "Ben, stop." "No!" Ben screamed. "She ruined my sister's life. And now she wants sympathy? She wants forgiveness? She wants peace?" He pulled a folded paper from his pocket and threw it at Amara. It was a court summons. Ben growled. "I'm taking you to court for emotional damage, defamation, and sabotage. You'll pay. You'll lose everything." Amara slowly picked up the paper with shaking hands. Daniel's voice turned cold. "Ben, this is too much. It's not enough." Ben shouted. "She deserves to suffer like Chica suffered." Lina stepped forward quietly. "Sir, revenge won't heal your sister." Ben scoffed. "What do you know? You're just a maid." Lina looked him in the eyes. "No. I'm someone who has seen pain, and someone who refuses to add more pain to the world." Ben's jaw tightened. Daniel stepped between them. "Ben, this is not justice. This is hate." Ben's voice trembled. "Hate is all I have left." Then he pointed at Amara. "And I'll use it until she loses everything." He walked away. Silence returned. Amara fell to her knees, sobbing. "Daniel. I'm finished. My life is over." Daniel crouched beside her. "No, Amara. It's not over. But this is the moment you choose who you want to become." Amara looked up at him, eyes red and broken. "I want to be better." Daniel nodded softly. "Then start with courage." Lina knelt beside them. We will get through this, she whispered. Together. And at that moment, under the gray sky, beside the grave of her past, between the man she loved and the maid who saved her, Amara made a silent promise. To fight for change. To fight for truth. To fight for herself. But the road ahead would not be easy. Ben wasn't done. The world wasn't done. The past wasn't done. And the real transformation was only beginning. The night was cold, unnaturally cold. The kind of cold that creeps into a person's bones even when the air isn't moving. The kind of cold that warns the soul that something is about to happen, something that will change everything forever. Amara stood at the edge of the abandoned warehouse yard, her body trembling as she faced the man who had almost destroyed her life. Ogba. The man from her past. The man who once showed her kindness when she was desperate. The same man she betrayed, not because she wanted to, but because she was young, scared, and hungry for survival. Now he wanted revenge, and he didn't hide it. Lina stood behind Amara, refusing to move an inch. Her small frame looked nothing compared to Ogba's bulk, but her courage filled the entire yard like a shield. Daniel was beside them, bruised but alive after Ogba's men roughed him up earlier. He kept an arm stretched slightly in front of Amara, as if trying to protect her even though he was weak. Ogba laughed, slow and heavy. So this is what you have become, Amara, he said. A woman who used her power to crush others. Just like the world crushed you. His words hit Amara like stones. She swallowed hard, tears pushing at the corners of her eyes. Her voice shook as she spoke. I know. I know I hurt people. I know I became a monster. But I'm not that woman anymore. I'm trying to change. Ogba scoffed and moved closer. Change? After humiliating people? After breaking spirits? After leaving me for dead when I gave you everything? Amara took a step back, unable to stop the fear spreading through her chest. But Lina? Lina stepped forward. Boldly. Calmly. Without blinking. Hurting her will not heal your past, Lina said, her voice firm. Vengeance does not fill an empty soul. It only creates another wound. Ogba's eyes narrowed at her. And who are you to speak? Lina didn't move. I am someone who was sent to stand with her, not because she deserves it, but because she needs it. Amara gasped softly. Daniel stared at Lina with new realization. Ogba's face twitched. For the first time, he seemed unsure. But then, like a storm flipping directions, he grabbed Amara by the wrist and pulled her forward roughly. If I let you go today, you will walk around with no consequences, he shouted. Amara cried out, falling to her knees as pain shot up her arm. Daniel tried to run toward them, but one of Ogba's men pushed him back. Lina stepped forward instantly. Ogba, she shouted, her voice sharper than a blade. You said no one helped you when you were down. You said no one gave you mercy when you needed it most. Ogba froze. His grip loosened just a little. Lina continued, her eyes soft but fierce. Then why are you becoming the same darkness that once hurt you? Silence. Dead, painful silence. Amara lifted her head slowly, tears streaming down her cheeks. She whispered. I'm sorry, for everything. For the woman I became. For hurting you. I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I'm asking for your mercy. Please. Ogba's chest rose and fell heavily. His eyes flicked between Amara, Lina, and Daniel, three people standing in the most fragile moment of their lives. And then, without warning, he removed his hand from Amara. Amara's body collapsed forward, but Daniel rushed to catch her. She cried into his chest, shaking uncontrollably. Ogba turned away angrily, wiping his face as if brushing away emotions he didn't want anyone to see. Go, he said harshly. Before I change my mind. Lina immediately helped Amara stand. Daniel put an arm around her, leading her away carefully. But before they left the yard, Ogba called out. Amara. She froze. Agba looked at her one last time. You are lucky, lucky that someone believed you could be better. His eyes landed briefly on Lina. Not everyone gets that chance. Don't waste yours. Amara nodded slowly, tears still wet on her face. Then they walked away from danger, away from the darkness, and towards something new. Days later. Amara sat in the garden behind her father's house, staring at the morning sun. Her face looked softer now, not as hard as before. She wasn't wearing makeup. Her hair was simple. Her clothes were plain. She looked like herself for the first time in years. Lina joined her quietly, carrying 2 cups of warm tea. I don't deserve your friendship, Amara said softly. Lina smiled. Maybe not. But you deserve a chance to start again. Amara looked down, tears filling her eyes again. I thought being powerful would protect me. I thought if I made others fear me, I would never feel small again. She took a shaking breath. But courage comes from the heart. And you showed me that. Lina touched her hand gently. You are stronger than your past. You are more than your mistakes. And you can become anything you choose from today. Amara nodded, wiping her tears. Daniel walked into the garden then, hands in his pockets, his eyes warm as they met Amara's. I'm still here, he said gently. Amara's heart fluttered. Not because she needed his love, but because she finally knew she was worthy of it. Lina stood, preparing to leave the garden. Amara stopped her. Lina, who exactly are you? Lina smiled a slow, peaceful smile. Someone God sent at the right time. And with that, she walked away, her heart calm, her spirit steady. Amara watched her go with deep love and gratitude. For the first time in her life, she understood. True power is not in wealth. Not in titles. Not in making others bow. True power is learning to bow first. To kindness. To truth. To courage. And that was how Amara the billionaire fiancé finally found the courage she never knew she needed. Because power met courage and bowed. And that is how a woman who ruled with pride finally learned the strength of humility. A reminder that power can move mountains, but courage can heal hearts. In the end, Amara didn't just change her life, she found the kind of peace money can never buy. Because sometimes, the bravest thing a person can do is become better than who they were yesterday.